In this video, we are breaking down the arrangement of Lazy by Farris and Tony Romero out on Toolroom Records. So you can take the principles and techniques that these guys are using and use them in your own tracks to make bangers that go off on the dance floor, just like this one. Now, this track is a masterclass in simplicity, and it nails the three most important things for a massive track: big hook, big groove, simple story. That's so important, I'm going to say it again. Big hook, big groove, simple story. In case you haven't heard the track, let me just play a little bit of it right here. All right, so like a lot of tracks, this track right here, Lazy, is what I call the HG2 formula. It's just is the basic formula for like a tech house track. I think it's one of the most efficient ways, one of the best ways really to present an idea. And so we'll kind of see how Farris and Tony Romero are using this. They are doing something unique and interesting right here in the kind of first big drop of the track, and we'll break that down. But we're going to follow this cheat sheet I put together years ago, and we're just going to see how this structure is just enduring, because again, it's just such a great way to present your idea in a track to make it effective on the dance floor. And so you can download this or get access to the sheet. Link is going to be in the description, but we'll follow it, break it down, see how they're doing it, and see what we can kind of take away for our own tracks. And so the way you could think about this is like, there's all these kind of high level checkboxes, but it's like, how are they doing these things in a unique and creative way, right? Because at the end of the day, like, there's a really effective way to tell a story, both even in like movies, like a 3-act structure, but even in like songwriting and music production, but it's doing it in like a unique way, right? Like, how many songs are there about love, to use a classic example, but it's all about like a unique twist on it. And so that could come in the form of a unique groove sound. That could come in the form of unique lyrics in the hook. That could come in the form of a unique sound design element. So, and then just any way of just kind of executing on these little things in a unique and creative and slightly different way. So let's break it down. Here we go. And so we'll just go section by section and just kind of create like a quick MIDI map on what's going on. And this MIDI map can serve as a potential template if you're going to be creating a map or creating a track. You could say, hey, let me try to experiment with some things here. So here we're going to have beat. Beat is just going to be like the drums. And so here we go. Now you can also hear that the bass is in there. So bass, but the bass right now and the drums are both high pass. So I'm just going to write HP on here, and then same with right there. And we can make some observations about even the sound of this. Like, this is very not like what you're hearing at the top of the charts right now, but I'm super excited to break down a Toolroom track. But top of the charts, like a lot of catch and release kind of stuff, but also that kind of electro influence and that indie dance is still in there. Even a little bit of the minimal influence with the tight hi-hats and the really big basses. But this is like kind of classic Toolroom. You've got like kind of the sloshy, mushy tops, but you've got a big kind of driving sound. Bass in here right away isn't always Toolroom, but it makes sense, like you'll have the bass just playing throughout, just this relentless drive the whole time. Little bit of a motif in here through the intro, so we can kind of keep track of the high level things that are going on. So this is just kind of the intro here. And actually, I'm going to create a MIDI map just so, because I'm not going to put the track in the download. But so let's go over here. So this will just be a map. And awesome. So this will just be intro. Cool. So let's keep going. So a little bit of motif is what I was bringing up. So for example, Right, that's just drum syncopation, but it creates something that, like, will probably be reinforcing the melody or the bass line later on, or, even though the bass line is playing right now, but let's keep going. All right, and I love it. They're just going right into the bass drop here, and a bass drop is where you just introduce the bass line. And if you've seen me do these before, like, you're just gonna start picking up on all of this stuff because it's all the same things, just executed in slightly different ways. Okay, so here we get the bass drop, and if we come back to the cheat sheet here, we can see what boxes are being checked. So in the intro, what's the point of the intro? Well, intros are just for mixing in for DJs. Intros and outros are for DJs, not producers. You want to keep it simple for the DJ, so they're given the beats. Yes, they are. A little bit of a motif in there with the kind of synco snare. Synco is just syncopated. Intro hook tease. There's not an intro hook tease. There should be an asterisk right here. Asterisk just means it's kind of like a pretty optional thing. But beats, got to have the beats. And a little bit of a motif. There's no A section, B section. For example, if he went into a full kick, there's not really an identifier. I mean, that's not exactly true. So we can say that the bass is the identifier. Like, oh, it's that track. That's what identifier is. There's not anything here that makes me want to say, like, oh, that's unique, like some kind of weird texture. But there's definitely an identifier. So there we go. So that's what's going on in the intro. The big question there, can a DJ freaking mix into the track? Absolutely. Another kind of little level of that would be, is there some kind of motif or identifier that, like, kind of hints at what the track potentially is? Then we go into the bass drop. What's the point of the bass drop? This is where we introduce the bass line, and only the bass line. We want to teach people how to move, groove, and dance to the track before we throw the hooks on top. That's what the hooks are for. That's what hook drops are for putting the hooks over the groove. But we can start to tease the hooks leading into the break, kind of through the bass drop here. Now, this right here is from the perspective of the listener, but also if we think about it from DJs, you don't want to throw a bunch of hooks in here because DJs could still be mixing in to the track right here, and those hooks could clash with mixing out of the previous track. So just keeping this section pretty bare bones. But as I said, we can move towards the first break over here and start to kind of slowly introduce the hooks. But right away, just kind of keeping it simple and just kind of groove focused. So we definitely have the beats here, and that is going to be full on kick and bass right there. So no more high pass. We can ask if there's any kind of drum lift. Seems like it just keeps on going. You can hear a little bit of a crowd texture in the background, but yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. So we can also create like an edit map right here. And this edit map, an edit is just kind of like where you take away the low end in some way at the end of a drop or at the end of 8 bars or 16 bars. And the purpose of an edit is to kind of set the listener up for a change that's going to happen. So right away here, we're giving them a break just by this little edit, and it's just a high pass. You can still hear the kick and the bass in there, but it's introducing, or it's pulling us in here by introducing that kind of sound design element, that sound design hook in the track. So we'll just call this the pluck hook here. And so I'll color that there. And so this is just kind of creeping up through the edit, which is kind of an interesting analogy for breaks, because breaks, what they really do is they kind of preview the hook to come a lot of times. It's not the only thing a break does, but a lot of times breaks will just hit you with the main thing, and then that main thing gets played over the drops. But even right here, it's like a mini break, and then right away, we're just introducing this kind of hook. It's creeping up, but let's see how it plays out. And that's just very Tony Romero. This is just going to be on 8th notes. So I'll just kind of actually loop around 1. And there we go. So this is just kind of low passing up. So there we go. So a lot of times we can say typically a bass drop is going to be 16 bars because you just really need 16 bars to introduce the groove, and then you move into the first break, so that would make the whole kind of intro here like a minute long before you start getting into the things. But here they're extending that. So a lot of times I'll just label this X for extended. So this is an extension. And the question is, why are they extending it? And so let's just kind of see what the answer is as we listen. And the answer could be very simple. It could just be simply that they are just slowly introducing the hook, which is just going to be the sound design hook for now. There's going to be a big vocal, but let's see how the story continues to unfold here. So just simply, bringing in the hook here. There's not really any development on the drums. Yeah, not a lot of big developments. Just you've got 16 bars. They start to bring the hook here in the edit, the sound design just creeping up. And then this is just going to be one big kind of movement towards the break over here. You can hear some kind of cool effects on there. So what sounds like it's on there is just a very tight delay, very tight pong delay. So I'm talking like, if we just go get a delay. And let me just see something real quick. Okay. And then let's just get the delay right here. So it would just be something like this, like just go turn this from sync to time, just go real short, maybe 7 to 20 or even like 5 to 20 milliseconds, ping pong. And there you go. And over time, he's going to play with different delays on this. But, if you increase the dry wet, then I'm not going to try to recreate the sound, but I'll just kind of show you a little bit of, I should get I know I have a Tony Romero pack, but it would take too much time to kind of just throw in a sample. But if we just create a very basic pluck right here. So for example, if I just go over here and put this up, shift option click, there we go. Let's see. And let's just bring the sustain down and just tighten the decay. Okay, and then here we have our little delay. Just give it a little bit more on the filter so we're not getting as many of the low mids. So something like that, right? Even seems like that's the right octave right there. But then you could just play with different things, right? You could play like... Okay, well, we'd have to change it to a different kind of mode here. Let's see. But I'm pretty sure it has like another delay on there. But this one seems pretty... What delay time was I on? That was a good one. Let's see. Anyway, we're moving on, but just something like that. And so you can hear that kind of width come up from the fast ping pong delay as we reach the end. So it's a kind of growing the space on the sound, which serves a kind of transitionary function. It just helps transition. All right, let's get out of there. But yeah, you can kind of hear this cool like resonance on there as well. So as that synth comes up. Interesting. So yeah, what this makes me think of is like that you have a pluck, because I'm not hearing the resonance on the actual pluck envelope. I'm hearing it on something like that. I'm hearing as if there's like a second filter here, and let's just send filter 1 to filter 2 because I'm hearing the resonance on bringing up the sound over time. rather than on the pluck itself. So for example, if I come over to filter 2 now, so which makes me think that they're probably using a sample. But you know, obviously the sound was originally made in a synth, but like you can hear the difference. Like you can hear the resonance movement is very stable and constant. Whereas if I just had this going to, if I just did the resonance here on the synth, like the filter 1 here, then you would hear the movement of the resonance in the pluck itself. That almost sounds like a laser, but I'm not hearing a laser sound. And so that makes me think that, again, that this is like a sample and they're just opening up a steady cutoff and the resonance is only being applied to where that steady kind of cutoff is. So you can hear that. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get back to it. Hear that stable cutoff movement and that stable resonance? That's what I was hearing right there. Okay, one cool thing to notice is that the low end is going right up to the edge of the, right up to the border between the bass drop and break 1. You know, like sometimes producers, it's just very easy to get tripped up. Like if you do an edit here, you think, oh, I've got to do an edit here, you know, and that's fine. That's natural because you're thinking in terms of symmetry. But like, also, you want to think about when you go into the break, boom, you want to give them a break. And so if you have that low end come up right up to the edge and then fall into the break, it's going to create that contrast into the break in a pretty dramatic way. So there we go. Okay, cool. So this is going to be break 1, and let's see what he's doing here. So bass drop, this is where we introduce the bass line and only the bass line. We want to teach people how to move. We already read that, so there we have a bass line. We have a clear A section, B section. So the A section is just groove. This is perfect. Like Toolroom is just, Toolroom is one of my favorites, but their tracks are so principled. And so we'll see that here. So clean A section groove, perfect. B section lift and transition. We have both because the lift immediately is going to be that sound design hook that's kind of pulling up, but it's serving also as a transition because of that opening of the filter. So that's perfect. B section transition. Does it foreshadow break 1? It absolutely does, because here in break 1, there's the synth in full. Now we're getting that low passed vocal, sure, but that sound right here, the transition sound, pulls us into break 1, and that sound continues. Corresponding drum lift. So right here, when the drums come in, or when the bass comes in, is there a lift over the drums? There is not. You can see the little asterisk right there. Punk's at his ear candy. We're not going to talk about that right now because it's not relevant. Same with entry. But these, you could think of all of these checklists as kind of like a hierarchy of what's most important. And you can see right here, this is just checked off. All the ones that don't have the asterisks, like these are all really principled ways of doing the bass drop. Now they do have it 16 bars, so they do have A section, B section, which could be 8 bars, which is kind of more of a traditional bass drop. But for Toolroom, even especially if you go before COVID times, like Toolroom would have a minute intro and then a minute bass drop. So this is almost like a callback to traditional Toolroom structure. Songs are getting shorter now as attention span shortened, which is fine and cool as long as DJs are able to mix in. That's all good. But yeah, this is just longer. We've got a 16A, 16B rather than 8 bar A, 8 bar B. But all of it's getting perfectly checked off. So let's now move into the break and see what we got to do here. Break 1 is where we take the groove away in some way and we introduce the hooks. The idea is similar to the bass drop. In the bass drop, we only introduce the bass or tease the hooks, and we hold back on the hooks, right? We hold back. We don't fully present them. That hook is not fully presented. In break 1, we flip this. We hold back on the groove by high passing, and we introduce the hooks. And so, well, let's look at that. So here we are. Do we hold back on the groove? Absolutely. And so that's what I mean by give them a break. This means take the low end away in some way, and this is just going to be a simple high pass. Does he keep the groove alive? We still want to keep the rhythmic momentum going. And so, yes, everything is still there. Groove is still there, which is classic Toolroom, right? Just the groove just almost plays throughout the whole thing, unless they're being super dramatic, but it's just this relentless drive is the way that I think about it. Introduce the main thing. The hook, absolutely. So we've got the sound design hook, but we also have a low-pass version of the vocal hook, and we'll bring that in a second. But once all these things are there, we've given them a break, we're keeping the groove alive, we're introducing the main thing, then we want to start building tension towards the next drop. So let's see how all of this plays out. Here we go. So here we go. We've got the beats. So let's high pass this. And the bass is high passed. The pluck is still going. So let's bring that over. And then this is basically in full. And then we need to bring in the vocal. So create a Vox channel. And we'll just low pass that. So just create that MIDI clip right there. And we will just low pass. So you can hear them play with the delay right there, okay? That's just increasing probably the delay time and the feedback time, you know, like... Let's kind of keep track with where those things happen. I wonder if there's going to be a pattern to that. So let's go ahead and just kind of consolidate that. Okay, so I'm just going to lift these guys up when they happen. Let's see what happens. Okay, so far there's a definite pattern there. You can see this kind of happening every 2 bars. So let's see. You can also hear just the general delay increasing on here. So again, there's just a lot of playing with delay with this. Also an endless smile type of thing. You probably know Toolroom has their own kind of thing. I think it's called Infinity, but... Now, another thing that he might be doing too, and we're not going to go deep into this, is using like the loop effect in the loop in Simpler or like a sampler, or using like an ARP to just kind of speed up the playback of this sample. Because man, when Tony Romero came out with that Raw remix and he did that kind of acceleration rep where it went bop, 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 you heard that everywhere for the next like year and a half at least. And that was the first track that I really heard it in used in a big way. That I think it was the Raw remix. So that's kind of a signature of his. And so he might be doing something like that too, but lots of also playing with delay. Okay, so I'm just going to write grow on here to kind of cover that reverb movement and the delay, the reverb is just growing the space. The space is expanding, and you can also hear that on the vocals. So I'm just going to write LP up because the low pass is subtly opening up, so LP up, and I'm also going to write grow on the vocal because you can hear the vocal going into a space as well. Okay, so you can hear some up effects down here. So we'll do up effects. So you've got some risers. So I should really do up. Effects up, so category first. And then we have this. So, oh man, I didn't get it. All right, here. Okay, cool. Now look at how freaking loud this is right here. You'll see these things on YouTube where it's like, bring the volume down over time, or like bring the stereo mix down. Now the volume over time, I don't mind that one, but like, look at this. Like this kind of is like, this is full volume on this sound. It's not like they're trying to bring this sound down to create that dynamic contrast with the drop to have the drop explode. This thing is full headroom. That sound right here. Little triplet rhythm right there. That's cool. Okay, so here we have 16th. And then here we have a triplet. What was that, 8th, I guess? And then here would be just 8th note. And then this is just like a little break of the pattern. Another triplet, but just with an extra little triplet rhythm inside the triplet. That's really cool. Okay. I like that. How it slows down, almost creating boredom, and then boom, it picks it up with that kind of complex rhythm. It's very disorienting, and then boom, going into the drop. So really cool. So I guess we won't map that out because, oh my gosh. Let me just map that out real quick. So we'll just go like this. Go like this. So that'll be like you got 16ths and that's ending on here. Does it have a hit on the end? It does. Okay, so let's go in here like that. And then we'll go down to the triplets. This is getting a little more detail than I would want, but here's going to be eighths. So let's just duplicate that over. And we'll get rid of that. And then, so if we go to triplet here, so then we have, let's go to triplet eighths. There we go. Bump, 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 bump. There we go. So if we look at this, this should line up. Let's bring this up so you can see. So there's your 16ths. So we can just slowly bring this back a little bit, just so you can see the rhythm. And then here, those guys line up. So those are just simply triplet eighths. Here we have just the eighth notes playing. And then we have dun, 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 dun. So that's ending interesting that this just plays an extra one right there. And then here, once again, we have the triplets over here, but we have that little extra skippy in between. So let's go down to here and we'll just duplicate that. So there you go. So then that ends right there. Okay, and there we go. So let's move on from that so that we have that mapped out, but it's just going to be 16ths triplet, eighths triplet with a little extra 16th triplet in there. So let's color that yellow, and there we go. Cool. So the triplet is the cool thing because that's just like a disorienting kind of rhythm, especially in, you know, Western music theory and stuff, because we're so used to even grid values. All right, then right here, we've got like this little kind of fill. So we've got the clap and then the little syncopated hit that's just kind of playing before. So this is a little fill. Little tiny bit of a reverse. So I'll just put that in the up effects. So this is just like a rev vox, which makes sense because we are going into a vocal right there. So let's bring this over and we'll just go like this. So this is going to be vocal 1. Okay, but let's go back to the list here. So we gave them a break, kept the groove alive, hit them with the main thing. Then we got to build tension. And how was the tension built? Well, here it's mostly grow, rise, and I guess you could say rep, but rise is applying to the riser here. It's also applying to the fact that the filter is opening up on the vocal, and then grow is just growing the space on the sound design and the vocal. But there's no snare rolls. There's no... That's really the only, and there's no kind of major hook rep. So a hook rep right here would be like if the vocal was repping something, but that's not really happening. And so, but definitely building tension. This is a menu. It's not like you have to do everything. So he has, he has a rise and he has a grow for the most part. I'm not going to count the synth as a rep just because it's not repping a small piece. It's not like repping a segment or a fragment. It's just the pattern. And then the transition into drop 1 is either going to be a pipo or a momentum. Pipo is going to be 90% of the time. And a pipo is just a pattern interrupt pay off. So the thing is, you have this building pattern that gets interrupted. So this is building, 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 building that gets interrupted. And then here you have the payoff, which is going to be some kind of sound. The thing is, like when someone's on the dance floor and you get this building pattern, it creates so much anticipation. And as soon as that stops, everybody pays attention. You have their full attention at that moment. You deliver something really cool. So in this case, it's just going to be that full headroom pluck. And then you explode into the drop. So that's what PIPO stands for. Pattern interrupt pay off. And that's what's going on in this case. So he's absolutely doing that. Atmosphere, not any kind of dedicated atmosphere. You could say there's a little atmosphere that's coming from the sound design, but there's not, I wouldn't really check that off. Entry, not really an entry. But you can see, again, these are just asterisk optional. All the critical ones here are being executed on. Okay, and so now we're going into the first drop here. And so let's bring this over here like that. So this is going to be, let's color this blue for my break color. This is going to be hook drop 1A. And this is just going to be, let's just call this Vox. So we'll see if there's a traditional A section, B section here, but let's see how it unfolds. So color this red for now. And what do we have? right, so this guy's just playing a pattern right there. And then, so this is going to be, let's just call this verse 1. So maybe the ecstasy.
Maybe the ecstasy could be the 2C. The club is hot tonight. You say you want me. You say
Is there a development in the drums? Let's see.
could be the 2C.
Not really. Yeah. Okay, so we just get the full sound design pattern, and then we have the vocal in here.
You said you love me. You said you'd be my lady. Maybe the ecstasy could be the 2C. You said you'd be my lady. Maybe
There's not even an edit here at the between these two 8-bar sections. An edit would be just simply if you're going to do like a high pass or something. They just keep going, which is a great lesson for a lot of producers. Like if you've watched my breakdowns of other tracks, a topic that comes up a lot is punks and edits. But punks are just like where you kind of do these little micro production things, these little structural ear candy things. But you don't have to rely on that micro production when you've got the macro production right. And in this case, you've got two macro elements, two big hooks that completely take over all the interest. And that's that plug, and then it's the vocal. And you don't need the lower level arrangement things like punks or even some other thing I talk about like CLT stories to create interest over time. Like the hooks themselves are carrying the load. And so this is a really good example of just relying on the strength of the hooks. And that's it. Like one of the things I say, the highest level box, and that's going to be the first one right here, is hooks over groove. And I always highlight this when I break these down because this is what it's all about. And this track is a really good example of this because all this stuff down here, he's not really doing because this is strong enough. And so, again, just a really good example of relying purely on the strength of the hooks.
you said you need me. You said you'd be my lady. You said you love me. You said you'll have my baby. You say you
All right, a little bit of a reverse crash right there.
You said you'll have my baby. You say you like me because I'm crazy.
So this is a different verse. So this is, we'll say this is like 2. This could even be considered the chorus because this is going to be the lazy vocal. So I'm going to just color this a different color here. And this is just going to be high passed with the kick and the bass. Now, it seems like, and you can totally interpret this the way that you want, but it seems like here's one drop and then here's another drop. The way I would want to break this down is that this is just a very dramatic A-B edit. So when you have a drop that's like an A section and then a B section, usually there's going to be some edit between them that allows you to make the transition or hand off. You know, when you switch from an A section hook to a B section hook, it's a very big moment of change in a track, and you want to create like a little bit of an edit, like a high pass, take the groove away, just anticipate that change in some way. And so the way that I see this section is this is just a very dramatic A-B edit. So that's how I'm going to label this. It's just an 8-bar edit. And then this is just going to be the B section. So let's bring this over here. But you can interpret that the way that you want. I just see this as, you know, one big drop with a dramatic kind of handoff, passing of the baton in between. You know, like you get to literally think of like, you know, when runners in the Olympics or something, they have that zone, that handoff zone. This is just a very extended handoff zone. This is one way you can think about it. So, all right, let's keep on seeing what's going on here and what's even happening in this edit. Here we go. Let's see.
Well, your friends hate me. They say I'm lazy. Girl, what you doing? Girl, what you thinking? It's good without. You say you like me because I'm crazy. Well, your friends hate me. They say I'm lazy. Girl, what you doing? Girl, what you
I'm just going to do other pattern, right? This is just a smaller pattern. I'll just kind of mute I'm just going to go like this so that I'm just masking what the underlying pattern is, but at least we'll get the right sections here. So just slowing it down a little bit. And okay, let's see.
You say you like me because I'm crazy. Well, your friends hate me. They say I'm lazy. Girl, what you doing? Girl, what you thinking? It's good without me. And you've been drinking.
All right, so you can hear the up effect again right there. What's going on with the groove? So you can hear that this kind of is like a lot of this stuff just happens right here. So this is going to just be like gaining down, gain down, and then this guy. All right, B section going back into the vocal. Is there any kind of lift though? Let's see. You can hear that one little sound, that whoop. So we'll add that in here, even though that's minor. It's the thing that they're using to lift the energy. So we'll just kind of map out where it happens here. So right around here. Boo doo. Very cool. All right, I'm curious about something. If I just take this drop right here and we just pop this over, and Ableton actually behaves, or it's not Ableton, it's actually my Mac. But let's go to utility here, and let's flip this around. So if I just go like this, so flip the utility on there. I'm sorry, flip the polarity. Curious to see if we'll definitely hear the woo sound because that is not playing before, but there's not anything different. Like it's not canceling out because, you know, like the vocal performance or whatever effects are on there, and you could hear the phasing of the pattern, like, but yeah, there's really no major lifts. We're not hearing any kind of big drum lifts or anything like that. We do hear the woo, but that's about it. You said you need me. You said you'd be my lady. You said you love me. You said you have my baby. All right, and so now we're getting into the main break and build, but let's see what we need to do in the hook drop. So this is where the story begins. We introduce the groove character in the bass drop. We introduce the hook character in break one. The groove, just the drums and bass. The hook in this case is the sound design and the vocal. So we've introduced both the groove and we've introduced the hooks separately. Again, the groove in the bass drop and then the hooks in break one, even though the vocal's low passed. But in hook drop one, we bring the hooks and groove together for the first time. This is what people want, hooks over groove, and that's exactly what we're getting in that track. This is basically saying the same thing. It's just that the groove in the bass drop and the hooks in break one come together in hook drop one, HD1. A section, B section. We have the A section, B section. In this case, it's A section vocal, B section vocal, and A vox, B vox, plus woo. And that's really it. Just a very simple lift there, or elevation in the B section. And then we have, all of this stuff is not there. He does have a very dramatic A-B edit, 8 bars, where it even changes up the vocal, so it's a different kind of chorus. Punks and edits and ear candy, none of that. Again, like I was saying before, he's not relying on that or they're not relying on it because they've got strong hooks on top. Full development, nope. Entry, false start, fancy tactical stuff, nope. Just hooks over groove, that's it. And so now we're getting in the main break and build. In the main break and build, we take away what they want, which is the hooks over groove, and we take it away in some way. Right, the hooks over the groove is the drugs that they are now addicted to. Here we hooked them, and so over here we're just going to take that away in some way and tease their return. That's what it's all about. We take it away and we build tension, and there we go. So how do we transition into the main break and build? All right, and so that's the question here. What are they doing? So So here's just a high pass kick. So I'd call that basically like a high pass and a strip. So a strip is where you just take away the top end energy. So you just have kick and bass. Very common technique. Good example would be La Danza, my favorite arrangement of all time. But kick bass, and in this case, he's just high passing. So we've also got a high pass on there. And so they're using, I would say, a combination of a high pass and a strip. And then the next most important thing about the breakdown and build up is that V taper. You've got the breakdown and then up. So you have this down energy and then you have this up energy. So right here is that first step down into the break. And then what are they doing? They're just high passing. And then here's the vocal, I believe. No, just more of the sound design, but going back to the 8th note rhythm over here. So we'll go like that. And then there's also a vocal that is just kind of pitching down. So pitch down. So it's kind of like a delay, pitch down. So this is just growing a little bit.
You say you like me.
Okay, very cool. So this is basically this just bridges the energy to the break. And so here we're high energy. Here this is like a transition section to right here. This is where you're going to get the break. And this is, so break. And the break right here is also where you can showcase the hook. So when I say like bridge, a lot of the bridge and the break, a lot of that has to do with the groove specifically. So that bridging the energy from here to here is in the groove. And then here when we get to the break, a break again is where you're just kind of removing the low end in some way so people are shuffling rather than just kind of like dancing. But also what that allows you to do, just like back here, is it allows you to kind of hit them with the main thing. And so here, this is a perfect opportunity to completely showcase the vocal. In the previous break, the vocal did not play in full. But here in the main break and build, the vocal is going to be playing in full. So that hook, that vocal hook is completely showcased right here. So this little 8 bars is doing like the quintessential, is serving the quintessential purpose in a track, which is after that transitionary period, after we're kind of cooling down, after that bridging down, boom, we're landing in the showcase section for the hook. And here it is.
You say you like me because I'm crazy, but your friends hate me. They say I'm lazy.
Nice. And he's going back to the lazy vocal here.
You say you like me because I'm crazy, but your friends hate me.
Let me see something here. Am I done? Yeah, just want to make sure. Okay.
You say you like me because I'm crazy, but your friends hate me. They say I'm lazy. Girl, what you,
So we got the pluck, we got the high pass groove.
girl, what you doing? Girl, what you thinking? It's 'cause we're out late and you.
So here we're getting some kind of like weird delay for tension because we're about to switch over into the build here, the main build. And so the main build, what are we expecting? Rep, roll, rise, grow. That's the menu for building, or at least the basic menu for building. Rep, roll, rise, go. Hook repetition, rise, or roll. You have a snare roll, kick roll, crash roll. Rep, roll, rise would be just a white noise riser, tonal riser. Let's see what we get over here. And then grow is just growing the space. So here we're just getting a Vox rep. So I'm going to take this right here and just duplicate that. And so this is going to be Vox rep. So this like just falls to quarter notes. You can hear that it starts off with, there's still some eighth notes right there. but then it just kind of starts to accent the quarter notes. Dun, 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 dun. It's actually technically the half notes because there's a kick in between those. So we got half right there. Okay, you can hear the up effects right there. And drinking, this also grows. So there we go. And then it all stops to the, once again, the kind of pipo pattern over here. Nice. And so then let's bring this over because that has the little fill. Whoops, let's go like that. Okay, so main break and build. V-taper. We've got that step down right here. And then it stays pretty constant. Like we got that one move down and then it kind of stays flat and it just kind of slowly starts rising. So we definitely have the down then up because first we have to move down and then we start moving up. So down from what? Down from the energy of the drop. And then here's a step down. And then here's the big steps up. Over here. Right, that energy is now going up. It's just signaling that, hey, we're going back to the drop. So we've got the lowest to highest. So here's the lowest right here. Okay, that's even lower than back here. Because here we're keeping the groove alive. Here we're really simplifying the groove. So we've got the lowest to the highest. Highest is right here. Also right here. All right, that's because right even there, you can hear the whoop come in right there. So we have the down energy, the turning points, not really, but pipo or momentum transition, up energy, absolutely. We have rep in this case. We've got rise and we have grow. There's just not any snare rolls in this or kick rolls here. Elevation over break one is just more dramatic. It's longer. We're dragging it out. We're making them wait. Absolutely. All right. So you can even hear just the rep on the vocal alone is an elevation over what came before. All right. Compared to this. All right. So that is... There we go. No payoff extension means that the drop lands on time. So no payoff extension. It just comes in right when it should, when everybody's expecting it. And so then this takes us to HD2, which is the whole point of the track, the raison d'etre, as I say in French, although I can't say it very well. So this is going to be the build. And then let's just color this real quick to blue. And then here we have, let's just get HD2. So there we go. We'll see if that needs to change, but we definitely have the vocal playing. So it's going to be verse 1. And then we have definitely probably the pattern that's continuing over here. So let's see. All right. And then we have the woo, right? So this is an elevation over what came before because that tiny little sound, that little woo sound is coming in early. Before it came in late. So this is another technique that I call front loading. And if we look at HD2, HD2 is what it's all about. We introduced the bass drop, the groove in the bass drop. We introduced the hooks in break 1. We brought the hooks and groove together in hook drop 1. We gave the listener what they wanted. We got them hooked. Then we took the grooves, the hooks over groove away. We separated them in some way in the main break and build because you're just not getting the full groove. You know, you're not getting the full groove with the hooks. Even that slight separation right there creates the tension for, and the desire for them to return. And then, so we took the hooks over groove away in main break and build, which made them cry. They want it back. So we doubled down on that tension through reps, through up effects, through growing effects, and we make them wait. Finally, at the peak of the tension, we give them what they want again in HD2, which is finally putting the hooks over the groove, checking off the most important box. And so we can see exactly what they got, which is going to be, you know, that same vocal with the synth hook, but now just that slight elevation with the woo. So does hook drop 1 equal hook drop 2 in a major way? Well, from the beginning, it certainly does. So here is just the verse with the pattern and the drums and the bass. And here's the verse with the pattern and the drums and the bass, and now with a woo. So you can hear that there's a little bit that crowd noise was worth mapping because it's becoming an elevation right here. An elevation is just like something that allows a section to lift over and above a previous section. And so that crowd is absolutely coming in here as a lift to create that extra excitement. All right, so let's see if we've got A section, B section, and how this kind of maps out.
You said you'll have my baby.
Okay, there's a very slight lift on the drums. And it's a little tiny tambourine loop in the background. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. And you can hear it here when I compared it back to the first drop. You can hear it in the second drop compared to the first drop. And I was curious if it came in during the B section of the first drop, and it did. So you hear that little tambourine up top. It's kind of, again, a tool roomy, sloshy tambourine, but it's definitely there. Here it's not.
The club is hot tonight. You say you want me. You say you need me. You said you'll have my.
So that's minor. Like, even if I get a phase invert this, like, it's still tough to hear the tops because the limiter on the master is going to respond to the tops differently between the drops. And so you're going to get this variation that doesn't allow them to kind of cancel out. And so it was still hard to hear because even as I just listened right here, there was no obvious tops that kind of came out, but it's definitely there as a lift. All right. Anyway, we'll continue over here. What's going on?
Maybe the ecstasy could be the 2C. The club is hot tonight. You say you want me. You said you need me. You said you'd be my lady. You said you love me. You said you'll have my baby. Maybe the ecstasy. You said you love me. You say you want me. Maybe the ecstasy. You say you want me.
So that crowd kind of goes away right there, but then it comes back right over here. Let's see.
You said you'll have my baby.
So we're just getting the pattern. We're still getting that woo going on, but we're settling towards the outro. That's what's going on here. So this is A section, B section, but this B right here is a settle to outro. And then this is just Vox. And so, whoops. So this is going to be basically like no Vox. Just, there you go. Little edit right there, just so you can see what edits do. Like edits like, yes, I think, usually I should put like a little high pass or something at the end of 8 bars. But what they do, the purpose they serve, is they allow that kind of phrase or that those 8 or 16 bars to kind of reset. And so when you come over here now, we're preparing the listener for a change. That's what that's doing. And because we're changing over here by taking away the vocal. Here we're preparing for a change because that sound design maybe is going away. Let's just see what happens. There you go. Goes away. And now we're in the intro. DJ's mixing into the next track. But check this out. So you can see the slight differences in the drums here. Not as many high frequency tops, but right here, more tops. Chiller kind of eighth note feel. This is like more of a 16th note feel. See, so you can definitely hear the difference there. Let's just for fun see if that changes at all over here. Yep, so that lift goes away. There's the tiniest little edit right here, or it's kind of like more of a fill, but I'll just kind of mark that. And then here we have outro, and there we go. So it might just be the normal syncopation of the track, really. And there we go. So if we come back over here, A section, B section, yes. So this is going to be Vox, no Vox. That's the simple breakdown. None of this stuff really. There is a slight A-B edit, very small, to prep for no Vox. Punk says ear candy, elevation over HD1. Yes. The woo comes in early. And then right here, front loading, same thing, right? The woo comes in early. There we go. Punk's edits. I already have that one. Edit, false start. Cool. And then outro. This is just keeping it simple for the DJs, right? So in this case, they're just going groove and then breaking it down to simpler groove. But that's it. So again, just simple HG2 formula. We got the intro, bass drop, break 1, hook drop 1, main break and build, hook drop 2, outro. right? So intro, bass drop. So the unique thing is that this thing is 32 bars. Then we have break 1, 16 bars. We have a unique hook drop 1, which has that kind of dramatic, again, I'm thinking of it as like an A-B edit between the A section, B section. But even here, like this is just basically vocals, sound design over groove. This is vocal sound design over groove, but we get a little bit of a drum lift with that kind of tambourine, and we're also getting a little bit of a lift with that little woo sound in the background, whatever that is. So very subtle. The A-B edit is introducing the kind of title verse. So it's that verse that actually has the title line. Here we get just a main break and build. This is 24 bars. You know, typically this could be 32, especially for Tourum, 32 bars. But this is just very simple. This is almost like as efficient you could possibly be in a break, because here we're getting vocal, and then there's no vocal. It's just break time. All right, just a little bit of a bridge, and then that moves you into the vocal to showcase the vocal, and then you move into a build that has the rep. Like it's just perfect. No vocal, and then using the vocal as tension with the rep. 24 bars. Very simple to understand from the listener's point of view, and even a producer's point of view, is don't over-engineer it. You know, if you got vocal rolling up to the end here, boom, just take it away, high pass. You can have some other thing that keeps the interest for a second. Boom, bring that vocal back in, keep the interest, and then just rep it to build tension, plus all the other tension building elements, rep, roll, rise, grow. Break it down to a pipo or just do a momentum transition, which means you just build, and then boom, right at the end, you just explode into the drop. It's like a crack in the dam that just the pressure builds, and then boom. But 90% of the time, you're going to find something like this, which is you have this tension. It gets interrupted. You deliver a payoff, and then you explode. That's what I call a pipo. And then here, HC2 is just 32 bars, A section vocal, B section no vocal, and then just outro. So the biggest takeaway that I could say from this track is like, focus on this. Focus on this. This is what the track is. It's got 2 cool hooks over a good groove, over a standard, relentless, ongoing Tourum groove, and you've got yourself a track at the top of the charts. And so that's all I got. I hope that was helpful. And if you have your own insights about this track, leave them down below. If you've got questions, leave them down below. Again, you can download this MIDI map if you want to use as a template to start a track. Other than that, I will see you in the next breakdown. Peace.